Thank you for watching Snack and Learn, hosted by Pam Pryor.
2, 1, and we're live. Hey, welcome to Tuesday Snack and Learn. So it's Tuesday already. Wow. Don't know how it got to be the end of August, but hello, everybody. Hope you're having a great start to the week. I have an awesome guest with us today. You know how much I harp on, all of us in this group do, on relationship building versus kind of automated lead gen, computer type marketing. You know, we've been very selective about bringing people into this group, and you've been very selective about picking this group and one you want to participate in. So this conversation is really important to me. Let me introduce him first, and then we'll talk about what we're going to talk about. The reason I have him here is because since the dawn of social media conversation, so 2006, JD Gershbein has been at the forefront of this whole conversation. He is one of the world's first independent LinkedIn consultants. So we know there are a lot of fly-by-nights out there. This guy has been at it for a while. He's actually pioneered a model of authentic business communication that serves ambitious professionals really striving to make their mark in the digital age. So as a speaker, facilitator, writer, media producer, he's got an incredibly diverse academic background. The rest of it's what really excites me. But he's kind of got this fusion of psychology, neuroscience, humanities. But the killer is he's got improv skills that he honed at no less than Chicago's famed Second City. So he bridges that knowledge gap between professional humans and the virtual world. And as such, he's really widely regarded as a leader in personal branding, social networking, social entrepreneurship. In other words, JD's blazing a trail as one of the most original personalities in this whole professional development area. We're really honored to have you, JD, because I have a ton of respect for the work you're doing and really appreciate your jumping on here to bring this to our audience. Welcome.
Well, aren't you kind, Pam? Is this where I say thanks for having me?
Sure, that's as good a place as any.
Okay, thanks for having me. Great to be in the foxhole with you.
Awesome. Hey, that's true. We love it in here. So, I'm going to start off, JD, with something that, and I'm going to get to how you got to doing what you do later. But the first thing I'd say is right now I'm kind of mad at LinkedIn, and I don't think that's fair. I think what I should be mad at is myself and how I use LinkedIn. But it feels very much now like it's gotten to be one of these kind of robot havens where all I'm doing is swatting away cold calls. And I know there's so much more value inside this tool that I really wanted to talk to you about, what you see about LinkedIn and how it's evolved and how it could be useful to today's entrepreneurs.
It's like playing a game of whack-a-mole, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
There's another product. There's a product. There's a service. There's a service.
Mm-hmm. I read your bio. You need this, right?
Doesn't know me. Wants to make a connection. I see we have 50 connections in common. I see we're members of this group and that group, and we live 100 miles from each other. I mean,
we both have brown hair.
Boy, I'll tell you, finding that to connect with someone, that cold approach, it's really rough. But we find our influence when we need it the most. I would say the things that upset you about LinkedIn, Pam, have upset me for a while too, and it's not the way I teach LinkedIn. We've exposed a real ugly side to digital marketing, and there are folks who are coming at us under the guise of wanting to build a relationship, but they're done through automated spammy software overlays. Mm-hmm. These are unwanted messages. I find them offensive, insulting, and annoying. And in many cases, I report them to LinkedIn. It doesn't do me any good, but it makes me feel a little better. I kind of purge my conscience a little bit of it, so to speak.
I love it.
But that's not how LinkedIn works. That's not how it should be taught, especially to young folks who are trying to gain a handle on the business world, whether they're in corporate or whether they're entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. So I really birthed this notion of LinkedIn style and how we do things in the virtual world and how we communicate our value online to people we've never met. Hardest single thing in the world right now, it seems, is to convey trust on a singular internet page, which is our LinkedIn profile. And once people get to know us a little, investigate us, perhaps even connect with us, then it does open the door for dialogue and conversation and human to human communication. But so many people want to bypass that and go right for the cell.
Yeah, like what I like about LinkedIn, or when I use it, and I do use it, but what I really
Hmm.
like about it is that it displays your messages. There's an algorithm, I'm sure, but it displays your messages kind of everywhere. It's not just to the people you're connected with. So what can happen is your message can attract people who then ask questions, who then you can develop kind of a real fun relationship with, because something about what
Yeah,
you've been doing has caused them to kind of raise their hand and go, I want more. And so
yeah,
that's where we've sort of leaned on the LinkedIn side is we'll put the message out, we'll engage with anybody who chats, we'll invite them to our group if they've engaged. And that,
yes,
I think it's like Facebook, like you have to find your way to be who you're going to be on LinkedIn
yeah.
and then figure out how to kind of keep the rest at bay is what it feels like to me.
Yeah, I think that goes a long way to how we assert ourselves on the site. And you can't accomplish an objective without putting force on the system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to have a stellar profile these days. You really have to get out there and participate. And what I find revelatory about the site is that when you have the input, you can produce the output. I've
Hmm.
always found LinkedIn to be an input equals output proposition.
I
There
love
are
that.
no workarounds, there are no shortcuts. We're all looking for a good hack, but there's no substitute for experience in front of the computer and really critically thinking your way through each encounter.
I love that. And that's what's made me kind of ignore my inbox in LinkedIn, which I know is not a great thing because some people genuinely try to reach out to you that way.
True.
And it's, it is, 10 to 1, maybe, probably more like 20 or 30 to 1 of just spam junk cold call stuff. And, how, and I guess this is maybe, tell me what you feel about this. So when I get an invitation from somebody to connect,
Yeah.
if they've just clicked, I want to connect without any email or any, hi, this, I
The
like,
generic formulaic boilerplate connection request.
it's just gone. I just delete it. Like it could
Yeah.
be somebody who'd be my best friend, but I don't even look at it. If somebody's truly taken the minute to say, hey, I saw such and such and it's really interesting to me, or even if they were talking about themselves and trying to make a relationship but took the effort to really do something specific, then I dive in. So is that unfair of me as a consumer?
I don't think so, Pam. One of the great revelations I've made during the pandemic, as we sit here today, we're 2.5 years into this
No.
global pandemic, which has rearranged our lives professionally and personally. But one of the things that I've migrated from is calling my network a network and
Yes.
thinking of them in terms of a community.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the community, I find my audience. Out of my
Mm-hmm.
audience, I find my tribe. So
I love
I
that.
think we're all in a very support seeking, vulnerable place right now.
Mm-hmm.
We've really, there's nothing like a global pandemic to expose human frailty
There you
and
go.
grief and aggravation and loss, and it killed momentum, the whole thing. Every excuse you want to pin on COVID, go right ahead. But
Yeah, do it.
at the same time, the blessing within the curse is we've all been given this bubble of time to
Mm-hmm.
pivot, to micro pivot. How have we spent the last 2.5 years? Have we
Mm-hmm.
used our time wisely? Have we reinvented ourselves appropriately? Have we
Mm-hmm.
reconciled our professional value? Are we moving how we should be moving? So,
Mm-hmm.
to your point, I've re engineered my whole LinkedIn community. I engage in a completely different way than I used to on the site. There's no playbook, folks. Forget the sales
Love
playbook.
it.
There
So
is
when you
no
see that
playbook.
offer that says figure out LinkedIn for $29.99, it's all in this PDF, it's a crock.
Totally. It's bloated hype. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work. What works is empathy, humility, and approaching people from a place of service and
Love
co-creation, and not trying to sell them something at every turn. It's really about, again, we kind of harp on it, forming trusted relationships,
it.
which is
Mm-hmm.
difficult. And for some, people aren't willing to do the work
Right.
and they go right again for the jugular vein. I'm on the receiving end of that too. I hate it.
Mhm.
I can't stand it.
Yeah. Well,
It's
that makes
bad
me think a little.
form, totally bad form.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it. And I didn't know if it's just because I'm an old fart that I think that or what, but it really feels just like bad form. And that's a great way to put it. I want to break down something you said because I love it. And Francis commented on it as well. You think of the community where you're interacting, and then some subset of that is your audience,
Mm-hmm.
and some subset of that becomes your tribe. I
Mm-hmm.
love that.
Well,
I've never.
thank you. I have me to thank for it.
That's brilliant. Well, we all thank you for it because that's a really
Thanks.
nice.
Yeah.
It's so much better than that way. Like a big part of my bias for LinkedIn is because I used it in corporate,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
in corporate, it always felt even grosser because it was basically when you had a job at one of the Fortune 50, every recruiter in the world wanted to be your best friend. When
Mm-hmm.
you were in between jobs in the Fortune 50, no recruiter wanted to talk to you. And
Mm-hmm.
you saw the seedy underbelly of recruiting in
Yep.
LinkedIn. And that totally turned me off. So through that career of 30 years in corporate, I found 2 or 3 really awesome recruiters who were really good at what they did because they were human and empathetic, like you said, and all those things. And they knew that the long-term relationship was going to be so much better than the quarter over quarter earnings report type relationship. And it really soured me because it was 3 out of probably hundreds that I interacted with as a CFO in corporate because they couldn't get enough of you when you were employed, and they couldn't get far enough away from you when you were in between jobs. And that was kind of I can't shake that out of my subconscious. And so I'm angry at LinkedIn instead of at the people. And I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
But I do think you can do what you're describing. You can carve out an audience in that community if you do it the way you do it everywhere else.
That's really where I look. Everything I do on LinkedIn is an organic, incremental build. It is not an overnight hit. The misnomer is that you get out there, you create an account, you populate each section of this profile page, you go out there, accept a few invitations, extend a few invitations, you build a network, and all of a sudden revenue tumbles down from the sky. Couldn't be further from the truth. I'm 16 years into my livelihood as a LinkedIn specialist. I've never veered outside my lane. I stay in my lane. And I don't mess with the other platforms when it comes to business representation, only because it just doesn't seem to work. I've tried the Facebooks, the Instagrams. YouTube, of course, is very viable because I am a media producer, so I am out there producing video content. But if there is a business context attached to anything you do, dear viewer, it runs through LinkedIn on some level. The market has established itself. Your mission is to find the people to serve, the best way to position yourself, and do it in a way, what I call the non-salesy sell, non-selling selling. I mean,
love that.
You let your profile sell you. I tell people before they meet with me on Zoom, review my LinkedIn profile. That's my only ask, because then I don't have to waste valuable time talking about what I do.
Telling you everything I do. Yep.
And then I come to a nice conversation, preconditioned to find out about my conversation partner, learn what they're focused on, hear about what kind of solutions they design and provide, and we go from there. If there's an opportunity to talk about what I do and see if they would like my assistance in moving forward on LinkedIn, I go down that path. If not, I connect. Maybe we collaborate later, or
know people that can help each other. The true,
absolutely,
the untainted form of networking, right? And that you operate in LinkedIn very much the way I operate in Facebook is. And the lead, just the way that I look at this is, and some of the things that I think our audience needs to get comfortable with is the real solid relationships that are going to build your business for the long run are the ones that you cultivate, possibly even for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years before they might become a client. And, or some other way, provide, monetary feedback. But what you've done in building that relationship has spawned thousands and thousands of dollars out into the residual community through the relationships you can help them make, through the things you can help them with, through just the general what you do when you learn and grow with somebody. So I just love the approach. So you said something interesting. You said that it's not just a pretty profile anymore. That it's it's how you operate in LinkedIn. It's how you
Yeah.
communicate in LinkedIn. And you said you've changed the way you operate in LinkedIn. Not the core and the ethic of it, but like the tools and the how. Are there a couple of things that you could share with us about good ways to be heard organically and start to find the audience in your community?
I'm constantly asked how I do it. And folks want me to break down my process, and it's very difficult. I am highly improvisational. I have
That's the
no
Second City stuff.
idea what's coming. I've improvised my whole career. I mean, in 2006, when I saw LinkedIn, and I can take you back to the beginning because it has merit to answer your question here. I looked at this thing. I don't know. It's just the way that I'm hardwired. It clicked with me immediately. I loved it. I wanted in. I was fortunate that I was a mid-stage early adopter of LinkedIn. I came in at about the 20 million user mark or
Oh,
so.
wow.
Nobody hanging out a shingle as a LinkedIn consultant, and nobody was ringing my phone to outsource any LinkedIn work with me. So a lot of things had to happen and fall into place for me to have a career. And anybody who does the LinkedIn work, and now we see how crowded the bandwagon is,
Yep.
just chock full of LinkedIn self-declaring experts.
Mm-hmm.
I use finger quotes a lot. That's not too annoying, is it?
Not in the least when you're talking
Okay.
about this.
Okay. So fast forward a little bit. I really grew along with the platform. I find that the transformational power of the platform resides in your ability to use it. You can't just be on it and wait for something to happen. If it's going to happen, you're going to have to execute on something you see, something you learn, something you've noticed. And LinkedIn is just the interface. It's what gets you from point A to point B. So for me, Pam, the real Big Bang theory for me, how everything kind of gelled, was when I realized that I do dwell in the online world, and I acculturated into this platform that's a complete unknown. It's a complete intangible. You can't see it, smell it, feel it, but you have a place on it. You have a place on it, and if you feel tethered to the online world, connected to the online world, it's going to help you develop an online persona, build an online presence, carve out a footprint of some kind, deepen and widen it as you move along, but you have to play, you have to participate. The profile is the infrastructure, a solid infrastructure that lets you do what you do. You could be the most tech savvy person on the platform, but if your profile is pale or vague or poor or a sales pitch from start to finish, you're not in the game.
Gotcha. That makes so much sense. So the ground zero is, if you even want to play, you got to have that profile, because anybody who zings by a profile without a picture and nothing there, or just a sales pitch, is just going to ignore it.
You can't do the hunting until you do the farming.
I love that. So true. So when in a typical day on LinkedIn, this is what I do, and maybe you can tell me, oh, that's good or that's really lousy. So we usually put up some sort of informational or engaging post a day. And I go through and look at my feed, whatever's on it, and where I'm interested or it's relevant or I can contribute, I jump in and type things in people's things, where I can share them. I share them if it's something I can talk about or add value to or testify.
You engage.
Yeah, but that's kind of really it. Then I sort of walk away. We have this group that I've established that people tend to want to join, and that they, our content gets posted there as well. But then I'm sort of like, okay, I don't know what else to do here. So is that a good approach, number one? And number two, kind of what's the next step that somebody would take in that situation?
There are three primary activities I've identified on LinkedIn, and they're done typically not one before the other or one only in the place of another. They're done as a triangulation of activity. The first is marketing. Obviously, we're on LinkedIn to market ourselves, to gain clarity with our messaging and
awareness,
assert our unique value proposition. Marketing. The second piece is connecting Connecting is the sine qua non of LinkedIn. We are there to assemble a network / community / audience / tribe. And the third, which is probably something people don't even understand or are aware of, is learning. Marketing, connecting, and learning. How can you improve on the site? By looking at what others are doing, what they're sharing, what they're engaging upon, extrapolate it into your own personal platform and become a better business person. Marketing, connecting, and learning. A LinkedIn win for me is if I accomplish any of those in a given user experience. And my user experiences are very robust. Sometimes they only last a few seconds, but sometimes they'll go on for a good part of the day. I never minimize the browser. So I'm not the LinkedIn on 10 minutes a day guy, Pam.
Got
So
it. You're on LinkedIn all day.
I use it seamlessly. And when I'm not on the desktop, I'm on the mobile. And I get my brand on the run, with apologies to Paul McCartney. So right there, you have the ability to leverage information in real time, update and course correct in real time, connect with people, and move a conversation along quickly after you open it, ideally with courtesy and respect, in real time. So the power of the LinkedIn platform, again, the transformational power of the LinkedIn platform is it is a time-sensitive vehicle that installs you into meaningful conversations quickly, lets you accelerate the relationship, and lets you create a positive future in some respect with someone.
That does distinguish it a little bit from like an Instagram or a Facebook. The real time, that really just spoke to me. So I don't do that. I kind of batch work. I'm like, I'm going to log into LinkedIn for a little while now, see what's happened, and I catch up. And
I do that too.
But I like the concept, because you can be there very easily. Keep it open on your desktop. It's very easy to go in and out. Every time you're changing tabs or something, you can hop in, see what's happening, and maybe have a real-time conversation. And that's a huge tip for me, that LinkedIn really is a place where you can do that and stop with all the noise. Just give it a different, it lets me give it a different skin, I think. Like, I think of it differently now after you've said that.
Yes, and we're entrepreneurs here. Your audience is entrepreneurs, and one thing about entrepreneurs is, hey, the store is always open.
We're in real time.
The meter is always running, and if something comes down the pike and you're not there to receive it or act on it, it could be a lost opportunity that could cost you a great deal of revenue. So
I love it.
By staying on top of LinkedIn and understanding where you are in that universe, and knowing that you're fronting a profile that speaks to your core competencies and strength of your solutions and offerings, you're kind of set. The infrastructure is in place. Now go out there, connect with the right people. Don't waste your time. Look, let's put our cards on the table. I'm the first to tell you there's a lot of junk out there, and people are fishing left and right. You just have to find the people that you feel aligned with in some way professionally. Connect with them. Be earnest and honest about opening conversations. Keep those conversations in play in front of you, and they blossom.
I love this.
There's no other way.
Well, there isn't. And I love this because it parallels so much with any relationship building. It's do the reps. I mean,
do the reps.
About our friends, and every now and then we all get into these situations where we don't call our friends often enough. Well, you need to do that. You got to do the reps to keep those things meaningful. And thinking about this is eye-opening, guys. I mean, this is kind of gold you're getting here. It's buried, I think, in JD's very calm expression about this, but he's just uncovered a major mind shift for me. And I'm guessing if you were listening closely, for you as well. Think about LinkedIn as a real-time, in the room relationship building tool. And you guys know kind of how I am. I have a whole mind map of meaningful relationships that I've built since I've been an entrepreneur. And it literally is a mind map with all the connections, and where I use it as a gratitude tree every morning. So, if something's happened, or I get a new client, or I think of someone, I go find that person on the map, and I work all the way back down to who introduced me to who introduced me to who would introduce, all the way back down. And do a big thank you down along that tree. And that mind map it's is kind of a LinkedIn thing. I need to think about it the same way I think about my mind map, which is this is just relationship building. It's not a sleazy tool. It's a great tool to be in real time as if I were in a room with people.
Yes.
And that, folks, give that a thought for a minute, because that really changes this, and it differentiates it, in my opinion, very much. I mean, it's already differentiated from Facebook and Instagram, but if you're a Facebook person, you kind of think of LinkedIn as, oh yeah, that thing I need to someday look into because business people use it. Well, no, it's a relationship building tool, probably even more powerful than Facebook, because Facebook, you've got your family and your friends and the stuff you look at all the time, but then you've got all this other noise as well around entrepreneurs and spammy stuff, but it's not as real time. People are in and out of Facebook all the time.
And Facebook has, in my opinion, become a pay-to-play platform.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm really not making much tracks on Facebook. I don't pay them. I don't buy advertisements. I do have a public figure page.
We're struggling with it.
I'm on it. My wife's a Facebook addict. I mean, I joke around. A popular joke I tell at my talks is that my wife and I lie in bed. I'm on LinkedIn, she's on Facebook, and we're having quality time together. So she's got her addictions, I have mine.
Yep.
And for me, LinkedIn has achieved a king of the hill status, queen of the hill status, because it has survived a lot of the knocks on some of the other platforms.
Sure has.
Save for a few minor security breaches through the years, LinkedIn has withstood anything that has been thrown at it. Now, obviously, there's some bad actors there. There are bad actors everywhere. Not a LinkedIn problem. LinkedIn user problem. For some reason, they have just failed to read the terms of service. They're spamming people like crazy. I abide by the rules of etiquette on LinkedIn. I would never approach anybody with a sell right out of the chute. Again, bad form, not stylish. You earn style points for doing the right thing and being respectful and courteous. And who would have thought that that's how you can build a brand? Is
my kindergarten teacher
doing the right thing.
And I really, really like that, because what it says is do what you always know, what you learned in kindergarten, all the stuff that you love, unlearn all the stuff that you might have learned, in corporate about what networking is and what why you hated to be in the networking room in corporate, because now we've got a place where you can actually behave the way you really want to behave in a traditional networking situation. I love that. So you do training on this.
I do.
Is it one-on-one? Is it group? Is it classroom? How does your
all of the above?
Oh, great. So if anyone, myself included, was interested in learning a little more about this and expanding our LinkedIn style and using it to really reflect us like we really are, how would we go about? Oh, wait, I think I know. Hang on. The best way to reach you is going to be direct messaging on LinkedIn.
You can direct message me on LinkedIn. I'm reachable on that platform. Find my LinkedIn newsletter, the LinkedIn Style Guide, where I do offer style advice. I'm actually really stretching that creator platform to its limits. For your audience, Pam, anybody who wants to get a few questions answered, wants to engage me as a thought partner on their current LinkedIn situation, I'm happy to chat. Just mention that you know Pam and the Profit Concierge.
That's awesome, folks. I really, really, really recommend you take advantage of this. All of us are struggling on this Facebook platform right now. The organic noise has become robotic, and the paid ads are getting harder and harder and harder to crack. LinkedIn is a space where most of our audiences reside, and we want to build relationships. That's why we're in the group. This is a platform that's made for building relationships. Facebook's a social platform. LinkedIn's made to build relationships. So I highly recommend you take advantage of JD's offer to take a peek and have a chat with you.
Sure.
And, thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate that. And we'll make sure that everybody knows that's available to them. So any last words of wisdom for us before we sign off for the day here?
God, using my name and wisdom in the same sentence. What a misnomer, huh?
Now you got to step up to it.
What an oxymoron that is. I'm happy to do these podcasts. I love them. I've been a broadcaster since age 14, never met a microphone or a camera lens I didn't like. And I love to chat LinkedIn. And I think right now I picture myself leading a movement,
Awesome.
because you are not alone in the way you think about LinkedIn, Pam. There are a lot of people who are upset at the way things get thrown at them on a daily basis on social media. And it's like anything else that humans get their hands on. They tend to overthink it and they tend to pollute it. And that does stain it a little bit for the people who want to use it in the right way, the intended
Mm-hmm.
way, to spread goodwill and use it for the greater good. So for me, I'm a leader by example in the field. I'm not arrogant. I'm not pompous. I'll go toe to toe with anyone in the world on social science knowledge over LinkedIn. There are people who know the site far better than I do from a technology standpoint.
Okay.
Although I do look like the guy who should know the technology, but don't let my nerdish good looks fool you. I have my blind spots.
I know
But
the other stuff.
when it comes to this, the psychology, the applied neuroscience, improv phenomena as a cognitive framework for LinkedIn, communication skills, these are things that position us for the gold on the other side. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about sending out 10,000 cold messages and maybe getting 10 people to say, yeah, send me your demo, just
Mm-hmm.
to, to keep you at arm's length. But it's about approaching people where they're at right now in their lives. Chances are they're fighting battles you know nothing about. They're
Amen.
having
That
they're
is
having
such
the
truth.
they're having their own issues. They may be dealing with health problems, mental illness problems. There's all sorts of social injustice out there. They may have endured loss, pain. You'd never know. They're
Mm-hmm.
putting up a good face in front of the Zoom camera, but otherwise you don't know what's behind it. You can't get into the mind of another human being. The last thing you want to do is sell them,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to be thought of as your lead right now.
Amen.
Nobody does. So I talk to people, but at the same time, I know why I'm approached, and I know what my client's pain is. They can't extract value out of LinkedIn. They are unclear on their messaging. They have no idea who they are in business, and I know I can help. My profile is set up to address those issues, so when they get on a call with me, it flows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
This
have
is
to ask them why you're here.
a much bigger message than just I help you work on LinkedIn. I know you all picked that up, but you no longer are allowed to say JD and wisdom in the same sentence is an oxymoron, because you just banged the drum on that one.
Well,
Awesome.
you're very kind.
Thank you so
I've
much.
had a little experience in this.
I've really, really enjoyed this conversation and can't thank you enough for going over the normal time here with me
Me
to
too.
talk about this, because I just think it's such a critical topic on both the social end and the technology end for so much of us. So thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it.
My pleasure, and thank you for being prepared, for having great energy, keeping my head in the game with your messaging leading up to our taping here. And I can't see the listeners. I can see a scroll on the bottom of my computer screen, but uh, for the listeners, viewers, thank you for listening. Um, Please feel free to access me at your leisure.
That's a gem right there, folks. Have a great rest of your Tuesday and the rest of your week. And this is Snack and Learn signing off. Take care, all.